Okay, there we go. Now it's recording. Hey guys, I am so excited about this tonight. Hey, hi, hello for anyone that's watching this later on down the road on the replay. My name is Amanda Hurst, and I am so excited for what I have to share with you guys tonight. So this is not necessarily like, here's the scripts for building a business, here is this and this, because we all know that the first thing we have to fix the first step in growing our business is up here. It's between our ears and it's our brain. And I can be super transparent and honest with you and say that for the last probably 2 weeks, I have been super slacking with my morning routine. Normally I wake up every morning, I try to get up before the kids and watch a couple of videos, do some reading. I have a really special routine, and it gets me so productive for the day. And I've been slacking on it the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to lie. It may also have to do with why my last 2 weeks have been super stressful and crazy. So I feel like those kind of go together. So today I made sure that when I got finished with all my stuff this morning, I started my day with a video, and it, of course, was from Tony Robbins. So I'll drop the link to this video in our chat, because you guys know that I kind of talk on a carousel and I sort of go in circles, so bear with me. I will definitely not do it justice the same way that Tony Robbins would. However, the nuggets that I took out of this are incredible, and I really just want you to be able to get off this call and be like, I can't sleep tonight, I'm so excited, okay? So what the video was, and like I said, I'll share the link so that you can see it, but basically there were two other men in the video with Tony Robbins. Their names are Frank Kern and John Reese, and they are two other very successful online business owners. I don't know if they're specifically network marketers, but they run businesses online. And so they did this kind of cheesy little skit where they were like, we're having a problem with the people that are our customers for our business. Let's call Tony Robbins, which clearly he was in on it. It was very cheesy. But after you got past the first 4 minutes, it was amazing. And so they're sitting there basically having a chat with Tony Robbins, talking to them about the problems that they have in their business. And that's where this kind of starts, okay? So the first thing that he said, which I thought was an incredible statistic, that 72% of people that join a business, that start a business, and I also think that this probably falls in line with people that start a product or a weight loss program, 72% of those people will start, join, and never do a thing. Never do anything. And so the point of this video was trying to figure out why that is. Why that 72%, why do they even start in the first place, for one? And then second of all, why can't they keep it going? And which another interesting statistic that I've heard is in network marketing, 90% of the people, or it might be 89%, whatever, less than 10% of people that start with network marketing actually make it to the big time. And so I first of all want to say, all of you that are on this call have clearly joined a business and decided to do something with it, but second of all, are taking the action steps to make it something more than just a hobby. So pat yourselves on the back for that. All right, and so the one thing that he said is that a lot of people, whether it's a weight loss program, whether it's a business, the reason those 72% they pay money, right? Because it's most of the time it's money coming out of your pocket. Why would someone pay money and do nothing? And all of us know, or all of us that have been in this industry for a little bit know that that happens all the time. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people, you see the people that are in our group chat that are on our team. There's people that aren't even in that chat that have joined and paid money to start a business, but never even did anything with it. So it happens all the time. So don't think that if for some reason you help someone start with this business and they do nothing, that it's you. 72% of people won't do that, okay? Or will do that. But they say that what happens is most of the time people they already envision in their head that it's not going to work for them. They're like, oh, I'm really skeptical about this, but I'm going to do it anyways. Same thing whether it comes to weight loss. How many times have you followed up with a customer and hey, how are you liking the products? And they're like, oh, I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm like, why would you have spent $160 a week ago and it's sitting on your counter? Of course it's not going to work for you, because they've already have had it and kind of ingrained in their head that these products, not our specific products, products don't work, or someone that has already failed at a network marketing company is oh, this industry just doesn't work. And so that 72% already has some sort of skeptical reason in their head about why this isn't working. And this little tip, this little nugget doesn't quite go along with the timeline of what I'm sharing with you, but it's the second thing I have here on my notes, so it probably just popped up in the video. But one thing Tony Robbins said was, you want to make sure that no matter what, you are looking at people. I know why this came up in the topic, because we'll look at the 72% that has failed and been like, oh, or that 72% that have done nothing and say, oh, maybe they're onto something. Like, maybe this is crap. Maybe these products don't work, maybe whatever. And we'll look at that 72%, that number, and be like, oh, that's overwhelming, right? But what he says to do is, instead of looking at the 72%, you want to look at the people who have produced the results that you want. Those people have already made it happen. So just to throw a couple of names out there, Amber Duluth, John Melton, Marina Simone, Nadia Melton, Michelle Barnes, like Bobby Lee or Bobby Joe Norris, whatever, like Tina Joy Carroll. Okay, so we have, and that's just in our company. Like, there are industry leaders everywhere we can follow. So what they say is that instead of focusing your energy on the 72%, because we all have experienced people, either they have been enrolled by you or you have seen people be welcomed into this business and be like, oh, I never heard their name again. So stop worrying about that. Look at the people who have produced the results that you want to achieve. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn by any stretch of the measure, but rather than looking at someone who has started and quit and focusing your energy there, you can focus your energy, like, hey, hi, I'm here for you. I've made this work for me. So focus your energy, like, that's another example for you to look to. Okay. So the one thing that he discussed, he was asking these guys questions, and the one guy is a bajillionaire now, of course, a multimillionaire in online retail. And he said, can you remember when you were most excited to cash a check? Like, was it your first million? Was it your first 5-figure paycheck? You guys have heard me, whether it's on my Facebook Live or talking in here, like, when I see that 5-figure check a month, like, that will be it for me, right? No, he said, I remember I was doing a downloadable program or something I was selling, and I had been at this for 8 months. And while I was on, I had my goal was to make $300 a week. And I had kind of hit that. It was great. Like, I was hitting my goals, but there was a day that I was on vacation for 5 days, and I got back, and after those 5 days, I had made $2,500. And Tony's talking to this guy, like, he was just so fired up about like $2,500, which to us, it'd be awesome. Like, when you see that coming every month, you're like, this is great when the starting point is zero. But to a bajillionaire, the most effective thing for him was when he made $2,500. And so what he was saying is it's not the dollar amount that is the most exciting part of that. It is being able to track your progress and seeing that play out. So he wasn't excited because he all of a sudden got $2,500. He was excited because he saw his actions transferring into success. So, hold on, sorry, let me get off. Let me follow my notes here because there's just so much. So what he was saying is that progress is more rewarding than the goal itself. Like, how many times will you be like, you'll see your check and you're like, okay, that's cool. Like, that'll cover my groceries, gas, and some fun money for me this month. But you were really actually more excited, rather than seeing, let's say it's $300, you were more excited to sign those customers than you were to even get the money for it. You're like, oh my God, they messaged me back. Like, I ATM'd them and it worked. Like, you were just more excited for the progress than the financial goal. So the people who follow through with this sometimes don't see their progress getting paid right away, right? So the people who follow through are more afraid of missing out. We've heard that term FOMO. Sorry guys, I'm getting sweaty. I'm gonna put my hair up. I curled my hair and everything earlier today, and I'm gonna put it up and it's all gonna go to waste, but I'm sweaty. The people who follow through with the progress, with their results, with these goals, are more afraid of missing out. There is a difference between a must and desire. So one thing that he said that just really spoke to me, and it's kind of morbid, but he said, Amanda, I'll just use my name. Amanda, if I was to hold a gun to your head and tell you, I'm going to blow your brains out if in the next 48 hours you don't sign up a customer, I would find a freaking way to sign up a customer, right? So it's that must, like that's a lot of pressure, okay? So there's like, would I want to sign up a customer in the next 48 hours? Absolutely. Like, I desire that. But in that situation, like, I must, I must sign up. I mean, I'm calling my aunt that was at my first communion in second grade and be like, hey, you want collagen? Like, you know, like, I've got to do it in 48 hours. So really figuring out the difference between must and desire. And I'm not saying that you have to imagine that your life is going to end every 2 days of the month. But what I'm saying is, do you see the difference between I desire to make this business work for me and I must make this business work for me? And not all of us are starting this business with the sense of, if I don't make this work, I'm going to go bankrupt. Like, for me, my must is, if I don't make this work, I'm going back to a desk job. And those are pretty high stakes. But there is something, I love the way that he put this, because in this industry, we call it a why we do this. We want to do this for our kids. Everyone always defaults to my kids, to pay off this, for my husband, for my this. But like, why must you do that? That if you don't, like, how did he word this? Hold on a second. That it's not about what you're getting. It's your fear of what happens if you don't do it. We've got to figure out what that is for us. Not what we're getting. It's what's going to happen if we don't get it. And that's what we have to focus on more than the tangible dollar amount or the tangible thing, right? What happens if we don't? So if you're like, well, I just want to go on a vacation, right? What happens if you don't go on a vacation? Nothing. So you've got to figure out something a little bit deeper. I think that's a great goal and a great reward, but there's really no fear that happens if you don't go to Cabo. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? So here's what he says. And so progress is more rewarding than the goal. We just talked about that. So what he says is to really recognize, if we're breaking things down outside of our big goal, is to recognize what you are capable of doing, because you're going to be more excited about your progress than the goal. So this was just a really tangible tip that I don't think he even meant for it to come across this way, but it did to me. Breaking down a skill week by week. What are some skills that you need to master in this industry? And instead of saying, I'm going to sign, you could totally make a goal saying, I'm going to sign up 4 customers this week, but make it, I'm going to really master the skill of live video. I'm going to master the skill of follow-up. I'm going to master the skill of networking and adding friends. So week to week, mastering a skill. And so from Sunday to the following Saturday, you're going to be excited by the progress that you've made, because you're focusing on mastering that skill. And as long as you're actually doing things in order to do that, you will have made progress. It's better than watching Dr. Phil instead of watching a training that we have a bajillion trainings available to us, right? So the one thing that so what he was saying is that little breakthroughs are what spark our momentum. So you might get off this call today and be like, woo, that was amazing. This is the momentum I need. My ass is on fire. Here we go. But typically it's little light bulb moments, little breakthroughs, little nuggets that as you compound them, that's what spurs you into momentum. And so mastering those skills, like if you're focusing so hard on a skill week by week, you're going to have light bulb moments. You're going to have realizations. You're going to have little golden nuggets. And so all of those things compounding is what spurs you into momentum. Not to mention it just keeps you consistent, right? So he said, and another way to do that is to get around hungry people. I'm actually going to do a live video about this because I loved the analogy that he used. So imagine that you and your circle of friends are like a subdivision, right? Like you and your 4 best friends are a cul-de-sac in a neighborhood. What do they tell you about real estate? That you should not be the best looking house on the block, because you're not going to make, like, no one's going to want to buy your house because they see all the crappy houses around you. So you need to imagine the people that you are surrounded with are like hungry, hardworking, positive, like-minded people. And we hear all the time, like, you are the 5 most people that you surround yourself with, right? Like we hear that. It goes in one ear, kind of and out the other. Like, yes, that's great and that's nice. But think about it that way. Like, if you had to pick your 4 people in your cul-de-sac, are you the most expensive house on the block? Or like, do you have someone who's like a powerhouse at this? Do you have someone that you look up to for this? And I'm not saying that you can't have people in your life that you are uplifting and you are bringing to you, but who is in your cul-de-sac? Like, who is in your bubble? Because believe me, I've got friends with all the self-development that I do all the time, like, and my friends that aren't in this business, like, man, if I had to like only judge on people that were better than me, I'd have to drop a lot of people like a hat. But that's not who I look to. Like, if I was looking to them, then yeah, I would have to drop them because I need to find people I can look to. But I know I have people I can look to that are like-minded, that are hungry, that I would want to trade lives with. Basically, it's kind of how I like to think of it. And then once you kind of get that in your head, you really have to. He says burn the bridges. I'm not saying burn the bridges of the people in your life who need you to motivate them, but I'm saying really guard who you allow to influence you. Like, not only who do you surround yourself with, but who influences you? Like, does the like, I see a lot of people like on YouTube or on Facebook videos and stuff like that are just like super catty and like hilarious. But like, if that's who influence, like maybe they like are really negative and like complain all the time or whatever, if that's who's influencing you, that's the bridge you need to burn. That's who you need to just like delete, block, whatever. That's a different tangent for a different time. So this is my favorite part of this whole thing, this little chart. So if you guys have a pen and paper, you can follow along with me. So he said this one word that we're probably going to talk about a lot. And how many times have you heard in our business, you have to have certainty? Or I'm sorry, you have to have, dang it, I ruined it. I ruined the punchline. You have to have belief. So you have to believe what you're doing. Well, I want you to replace the word belief with certainty. Because you can believe in yourself. I believe in I'm just seeing whose names are coming across the top of my thing. I believe in Kate and Amanda and Terry and Caitlin, and I think that's Amber. I believe in you. But there's a difference between saying, I believe in you, and I am certain that this is for you. Like, I am certain, without a shadow of a doubt, totally certain you're going to make this happen. So if you say, like, I believe in myself, but are you certain? Like, there's not a doubt in your mind. And so that's way bigger than belief. And so he made this little chart. Where's my pen? Okay, so 4 boxes like this. Let me show you can see it. 4 boxes, just 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this really pretty little map, okay? 4 boxes. So in the first box here, what's the first thing that you need to have certainty? You have to know your potential. So potential goes right here, okay? What's your potential, okay? And then, hold on, let me see, because I made notes about this, so I make sure so if you have potential, if you believe that your potential is great, you are going to take action on that potential. So the second box over here is action. So if you believe that you have the potential, it will reflect in your actions, right? And so if you continue to take action, you'll see increased results. So you know that the potential is there. So you begin to take action on that. And so if you continue to take action, you'll start to see results. Now, what happens if you get results? If you sign a customer, you start to make money, if you promote and you're seeing these results, you're only increasing your belief. And this whole thing together is what gives you absolute certainty. So you've got your potential. You're like, I know that I potentially could make this happen. I've seen people do it. I know, whatever. That's going to, make you take action. That's going to give you your results. And when you see those results, you're going to have that belief. And so when you really believe and you have certainty, it's only going to make you realize you have more potential. It's going to make you take more action and give you bigger results. When you have bigger results, your belief will be bigger, and you'll know you're actually able to potentially do more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what happens if someone doesn't believe that they have potential? If they're like, I just signed up for this thing, like this is that 72%, like I just, like I'll try this. If they don't think the potential is really there, they're not going to take action. So they're not going to see results. You can't like just all of a sudden land on your result box. That would be wonderful, but it's just not realistic. And here's the thing about potential. We grow our potential by seeing other people do these things. So the example that he gave that I just love, John Bannister is the first man to ever run the 4-minute mile. which is apparently a big deal if you're athletic and know anything about track. Okay, it's kind of I guess it's like cool thing to run a 4-minute mile. And so he was the first man to ever run a 4-minute mile. No one had ever done it ever. So mentally he was like, my body isn't making this happen, but I'm getting closer and closer every time. I know that potentially this is possible. So John Bannister was the first man to run a 4-minute mile in the entire history of the world. I want to say it was in the 80s. I don't remember. I didn't write the year down. But like a lot of people had lived before him and attempted it. Okay, so like this is like present day, not like Jesus time. All right, so like present day John Bannister ran a 4-minute mile. Do you know it took him an entire literally lifetime of the world to be the first man to do that? And within 2 years of John Bannister running the 4-minute mile, 37 other people did it because they saw him do it. And so they knew potentially it was possible. I think an incredible example of potential in our business is Amber Duluth. She's a Platinum 3. She's an Elite 3. It's possible. The potential is there. Somebody has done it. So we don't have to be the trailblazers, and that's just an example like in our business, but somebody has done it. So we don't have to be John Bannister. So we know that potentially it can happen because all these people have already done it. And that's what I want you guys to think about when you kind of get that compare-itis a little bit. We don't share all of these amazing, dramatic success stories in business. Oh, so-and-so came in 30 days and is making $1 million or, whatever it is. It's not to make you feel like you're not doing enough. It's to make that potential greater for you. Oh my God, somebody is doing, like someone did this. It's possible. It's not impossible. Someone has done this. So that is a huge thing in potential. Now, what happens if someone, hold on, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Hold on a second. So anyways, yeah, they all feed into each other. There's another really great analogy that he shared, and this one just really got to me. And this is where certainty and belief are, if you don't have these two things here, the action and results are just not going to come. So Andre Agassi, he's like a tennis player, I guess, right? Maybe you guys might know that. Obviously, track, field, tennis, sports are not my thing, okay? They're Tony Robbins' thing, apparently. So I need like a Broadway musical comparison. Like that's like, how about like, can we talk about a Tony Award winner? Okay, but anyways, Andre Agassi was the #1 tennis player in the world. And so his wife, I guess at the time, he made a little joke about how it's not his wife anymore. I don't know. His wife at the time was a huge fan of Tony Robbins. Huge fan. And so he had, I guess, over 6 years or so, dropped down, or maybe not even 6 years, maybe less than that. Anyways, he was no longer #1. He was number 37 in the world. He was #1 in the world. A few years later, he was number 37 in the world, but he was still playing. And she said, like, hun, I need you to just, you've got the money, like, you've got the power. Go let Tony Robbins coach you. I promise you need him to coach you. And so Tony and he are doing their like coaching, and they're, I guess, even on the tennis field, even though Tony, not as a field, it was called court, whatever. Even though Tony Robbins doesn't play tennis, he was like, all right, so here's what I want you to do. He's like, how are you going to coach me how to play tennis? Like, what is this? He goes, I want you to remember when you were the #1 tennis player. And I want you to remember that feeling of how it will feel to you to be #1. Like, or no, I know what he said. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. When you won the championship of championships, whatever it's called, the World Cup, whatever it is in tennis, when you won that, I want you to close your eyes and remember winning it. What did you do? Just visualize in your head what happened, and tell me, tell me what happened. Like, how physically, what stroke did you do to win that? And he was like, I can't remember. I mean, I hit it and it went, like there was nothing special. And he said, well, how did it feel when you did that? I was like, oh my God, amazing. Like the best feeling in the world. Like that was my euphoria, whatever. And he said, so I want you to visualize. So all these coaches are going to tell you all these strokes to play, all these strategies, all these whatever. I want you to visualize that moment that you are #1, not the swoosh that you did, so not the script that you sent, not the follow-up phrase that you said, not the status that you posted, but I want you to remember the feeling of hitting everything you wanted to hit. And so when you're playing next time, just think of that. Like visualize that feeling, the feelings that it gave you. Don't visualize the strokes. And do you know that he was back to being the #1 tennis player in 6 months. And I fully believe if he was 37 for years after being #1, and all of a sudden he started to visualize winning and the feelings invoked from winning. Like, think about it. So say, like, I know this is, and if you guys are single, then it may not like apply to you, but maybe it's your parents or your friend. I mean, this is just for me. I know that when I get in a slump or I feel like, I don't know if this is like well, let me just shake this off. And I visualize the moment when I get to tell Chris, hey, guess what? We're making $15,000 a month and you don't have to go back to work anymore. Like, I visualize the hugging, the champagne, the like excitement, the whatever. And so like that for me, even though obviously that hasn't happened yet, for Andre Agassi it had happened for him, but obviously that hasn't happened yet. I'm not thinking about how many distributors do I have to sign? Like what scripts can I send to make these people sign up? What do I, like, that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the feelings that it's going to invoke once I'm able to do that. And that's what keeps me going. Not like, okay, 15,000 more in volume. Like that's not what I'm thinking of. And so here's the bottom line of all of this. Oh wait, there's one more. Oh, I know. Ooh, this is good. This is really good. You guys are gonna think I'm crazy. Humor me, okay? Stand up. Stand up. Okay. No one's gonna look at you because you're gonna close your eyes. Okay. Stand up, and I want you to point your right pointer finger out into the air. So just point your right pointer finger out in the air, all right? And then what I want you to do is close your eyes, and I want you to twist clockwise, so to your right, as far as you can point. Actually, I'm not going to do this because I have a backdrop behind me. But twist as far as you can point, comfortably. Don't break your back, as far as you can point. Okay, now, come back to the front and point. Or actually, you know what? Sorry, do that again, but open your eyes. Sorry, you were supposed to close your eyes yet. Okay, so go back, twist as far as you can point comfortably. Look at where your finger is pointing, okay? Comfortably where you can twist. No, go back to the forward. Point your finger forward. Close your eyes now. Now, I want you to imagine yourself at the place where you were just now, how far you pointed to, okay? Now, I want you to imagine your finger. Don't do it. Just visualize your finger going a little bit further, like to the next, like another, few inches. Like imagine your body physically twisting further. And now I want you to imagine you going almost like 360, like just imagine this is going to look like subhuman. Like imagine yourself going fully around like from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, okay? And even imagine yourself like twisting around like a freaking owl where your head is stationary but your body has turned around and you have made a full 180 circle with your finger, okay? Now, shake it off and then point your finger, your finger's already pointed still. I want you to do the same thing. Twist your body. Imagine yourself twisting around like a barred owl and twist to see where you can comfortably point to now that you actually visualized going farther. Hopefully, you're farther than you were 30 seconds ago. Otherwise, it's a busted exercise. However, 9 times out of 10, you have gone further than you went the first time. And that's not because all of a sudden you just drank a bottle of BioCell and you can stretch a lot further. Like that's because you were actually physically seeing it. The first time, we only stretch like as far as we can comfortably go. And we're like, yes, Kate did it. Okay, I forgot we have a chat function. I can do like Facebook Live and be like, drop a 1. No, I'm just kidding. But if you went further, you can comment and say, and then for the recording, I'll say it. But yeah, like you're thinking like, all right, I'm going to just go where I think that I can go. But then when you think, all right, I'm going to visualize, what would it look like if I went a little bit further? And then you naturally do it because you've seen it and you can do it. And I just thought that was such a powerful, yes. Oh, let me Carrie's comment because my thing is in the way. Let me open up my chat here. Yes, it's very, very powerful. So think about that in like your business. If you're like, all right, I think I can go bronze. Like I think I can go gold. What if you were like visualizing having 30 people order a weight loss system from you? Like that's just, in terms of our business, but you know what you get like the gist of what I'm saying, right? Like if you think that's where you're going, or say like you hit your first goal and you're like, woo, that's where I can go. Well, visualize yourself going further. You guys heard me give a huge rant a couple weeks ago about how when we set goals for ourselves, we're actually already setting a smaller goal than we really think we're capable of. 9 times out of 10, the goal that we set for ourselves, because here's the thing, actually, this came to my head, but it actually is in my notes somewhere. And that just came organically. I kind of know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the reason that we have lower expectations for ourselves is because we don't want to disappoint ourselves. What if you said, I am 100% absolutely going to be a platinum 2 by the time this month is over? You wouldn't say that. You wouldn't set that as your goal because you don't really believe you can do that. Well, I'm not putting words. I mean, if you do, let's do it. Message me after this. But like, it's like you wouldn't actually. So what if you say, all right, my goal, I'm going to be silver. That's my goal. Like, that's a great goal. I think everyone could and should be silver. However, you probably really want to make more money than that. But if you say silver and you don't hit it, you haven't totally overshot and overstepped your goals. I'm not saying make unrealistic goals to say I'm going to make $1 million this month. Please like hear me out with that. But I'm saying you are probably in your head subconsciously playing a little bit small, because if you miss it, there's less disappointment. Lower expectations, you can write this down, lower expectations equal less disappointment. So if you have lower expectations for yourself, it's so that you won't be disappointed. And disappointment, you guys, disappointment can either destroy you or it can drive you. Like, disappointment does not have to be a bad thing. Like, you know how they say, like, fail forward, or you don't fail, you just learn, right? This is the same idea. Disappointment will only do 2 things. You get to choose what it does for you. You can let your disappointment destroy you. Almost give you guys the middle finger. You can let disappointment destroy you, or you can let it drive you. And so why are you worried about less disappointments? And that's why you're lowering your expectations. Because here's the thing, it takes, he said this in this video and it just spoke volumes to me. It takes no guts to be skeptical. It takes no guts to have low expectations. Like, that is the bare minimum. Like, what are those people that like go and like they are like doing minimum wage? They're not doing anything to like propel their career forward. It takes no guts to have low expectations. It takes, and like that's what it's something I'm going to make a Facebook status about for people that have been interested in the business. Like, it takes no guts to be skeptical. But what do they say? Like, no guts, no glory, right? So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you can either stay sick and tired, you can make a difference. Now I'm kind of talking about like potential people interested in the business, but I guess this was just like powerful. So what you need to decide on, so if you're like, okay, all right, that just was like a big epiphany moment for me. Okay, like you're feeling the same thing that I was feeling this morning at 8 a.m. You're like, yes, oh my God, this is so good. Like, I'm vigorously writing all this down. Low expectations, less disappointment, destroys you, drives you. Okay, so here's what you have to decide right now. Decide what it is for you that you are not going to give up on. Like, what is the must thing for you? And it might take a little soul searching. It might take because if I was to ask you your why right now, half of you probably say to like pay off debt, to like have extra spending money, to, like some of it might even be to retire from your job. Like, that's excellent. That was my why, but that was so surface. Like, why must, so say if you take my example that I wanted to retire from my 9-to-5 job, and I'm even preaching to myself here because I made my why happen. I need a bigger why, right? So if I said it's to retire from my 9-to-5 job, why must I do that? Like, yeah, it would be nice. Yeah, literally, I look probably together right now. You guys, I'm wearing sweatpants, okay? Like, I've worn sweatpants all day, all right? So like that, like, it's kind of like, it must be nice, all right? But that's not like, there's no fear. What's the fear behind if that doesn't happen? Well, never home with my kid when she's sick. Well, someone else is raising her, which some days I wouldn't mind that, okay, to be perfectly honest with you. But like, it's not what I want, it's why I'm afraid of losing it. So decide what you're afraid of losing out on. Like, you have to have FOMO about your goals, or it's not going to happen. Like I said in the beginning, picture I'm about to hold a gun to your head and say, all right, Amanda, like, you got to sign a customer in 48 hours or like boom goes the dynamite. I would make it happen. Like, I'm not saying you need to have desperation in your business, learn the difference between like passion and desperation, but like, there's gotta be a driving force behind it that's bigger than a vacation. And it's not so much the goal that's driving us. I'm kind of recapping for you here. It's not so much the goal that's driving us. It's the fear of missing that goal. FOMO of our goals needs to be what drives us, not the goal itself. Is that making sense? I hope it is. Like this, it made such clarity to me. And like I said, I've got these notes here that probably seem really convoluted, but this, again, just spoke volumes to me, that if you don't believe in your potential here, you're not going to take action. And what happens, maybe you have the potential, right? But you're not taking the action. That's another scenario. All right. So that's where it comes to and you're probably thinking like, all right, all this is wonderful, but like, how do I apply this to like what I'm doing every single day? Well, this is where it comes down to it. Like, taking action is probably the biggest bubble here. Like, that's where time management comes in. That's where honing in on your Facebook skills comes in. That's where, networking comes in. Like, that is the taking of the action. But if you don't actually believe that you're going to get anywhere, then like, don't bother. You've got to figure out what, and if that is you, if you're like, okay, so are you telling me to like quit right now because I don't know that I have that potential in myself? That's where all of these personal development videos comes in. Like, I swear, if you watch any elite who has done any sort of video, and they say the biggest difference is personal development, and this is why. Because if you don't have the certainty of your potential, all the action, all the tips that they're giving you are going to fall on deaf ears, because you can't get to this box effectively without first getting to this one. And so if you feel like, you know what, that's me, like, I know I've seen people do this, but I don't actually have certainty that like, I can do this. Like, that's where we need to like work on, okay, like, what's the fear behind it? Like, why do you think you're not capable of this? Like, I'm a very results driven person. Okay. So I'm happy to, of course, do all of that with you guys. But just, if you can get this in your head that all of these standalone things are not, you can't just have one. You have to have certainty in your potential. You have to take the action from it. You will get the results if you're filling up these two boxes. And then that's going to increase your belief. That's going to, show you that you're capable of more. And then you'll take bigger action, and then you'll get bigger results that will show you you're capable of more. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So just to kind of recap that for you. Let me make sure there's nothing that I didn't say, but I hope that this helped you guys the same way that it helped me. Like I said, it's kind of different than our normal, just, hey, here's what to post on Facebook kind of Zooms. But I just feel like, John Melton posted in our group yesterday. He said, I can't give you any spoiler alerts, but something big is coming. After every sort of regional event we have, there's always something exciting that they share, that they announce, that they, incentivize to us. And I just want us to go into this next quarter, because technically end of March is the first quarter, already like, it's not if it happens, it's when, and it's what I'm going to do to get there. So if you're still wondering, am I going to do this? You already know where you need to start. It's not am I, it's when it happens. So if you already are wondering if, that's where you need to start focusing your time and attention, is strengthening your potential and certainty. If you're like, you're like, on with me, you're like, I know that I'm 100% capable. I'm certain that this is for me. I believe that I have unlimited potential, which I believe in all of you guys. There's not one person on, and I know that might be thinking I'm blowing smoke up your ass. Sorry to cuss. I'm not. Like, I truly, believe that there is nobody who cannot do this. Of course, if they follow all of the things, right? But so you have somebody who believes in you. So if you need to borrow my belief for a little bit in you, please do it. But if you're like, okay, I got that, like, I know I can, then that's where you focus on like the action steps and what do we need to do, and what do we say in the beginning? Breaking down one skill a week. Just to recap for you, like one skill a week that I'm going to master. All right, maybe it's closing. And it doesn't mean watch a ton of videos on it, which like you could, like we have so many. I love John Milton Duff. We have so many wonderful videos and trainings, but you got to take action on them too. So it's not only like, what do they say about like say you're an athlete and you're watching all of the training, but you're not actually getting on the field and doing it, right? And I'm not saying that you have to like just let loose and go throw all these things out there and hope maybe it works. You have a coach, you have players on your team, like we're here for you to support you in doing that, but you basically just need to figure out which of these boxes do I need to start on, because if you have to start here, don't skip here first. So I'm going to keep rambling and going on and on and on. I hope that this was as beneficial for you guys as it was for me. It was just like, I watched it this morning just on a whim. I Googled Tony Robbins motivation, or I think Tony Robbins taking action. And it was like 45 minutes of just like me vigorously note taking. And I was like, I have got to share this because there were so many light bulbs for me, but even if just one of these light bulbs helps you personally and professionally, it will have been worth it. So thank you for getting on and letting me scream at you for, 45 minutes. And I'll get this recording up to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and hop off and get this uploaded. Love you, mean it so much. And we have 1 week left in the month when I'm going to end this recording really quick. Don't jump off yet. Love you.